Alright, today we are going to be ranking the music genres in terms of how good they are to read to. Now, I'm not going to rank these music genres in terms of how I enjoy listening to them normally without reading. Although, of course, I will be biased towards certain genres over others, but again, this is not in terms of listenability or enjoyability, but in terms of how good they are to read to. Alright, keeping with the theme of the channel. Alright, so I found this list, okay, on Tier Maker. Now, I didn't make this list myself, I just found it, and I went through already, and I took some of the genres that I didn't really know and put it in this what is that genre category. So I don't know, we have a few weird ones here, you can read through that. Anyways, now let's get on to like some of the more normal ones, alright? So like, for example, rock music. Now, rock music as a category is kind of odd because there's tons of different types of rock music, alright? But who knows? In general, we have to kind of average. Rock is sort of a B tier listen because, of course, it can be too energetic for reading, or perhaps the lyrics are too obvious or articulate, and they can distract from the words that are in the text that you're trying to read. So I would say overall, rock is a B tier music genre to listen to. In terms of pop, again, it's very diverse, right, in terms of what is allowable in this category. So pop will stay with rock in the B category. Now, okay, let's go with something that's better to read to. Okay, so we'll skip ahead here to classical. Now, classical music, of course, in my opinion, is an S tier listen, because usually it doesn't have words to it. Most classical music, it's just instrumental, either orchestral or piano, or maybe a string quartet or something. Classical music, very soothing, okay? It's also very popular to study to, so classical music, for me, S tier for reading. Now, world music. This sort of is like music from around the world, I guess, which again is very diverse. But I think world music tends to be more without lyrics, and usually the lyrics in world music are not in English, so you probably won't understand it. So it's not as distracting, right, when you're trying to read. So for this reason, I'm going to put world music in A tier. Now we get to the bane of my existence. That is hip-hop/rap. Now, I really don't like hip-hop rap, and I know that I said I wouldn't judge based on how I will judge based on how well it is to read to. I don't really know how you can justify reading Shakespeare while listening to some dude rap about how he just killed somebody, did a bunch of drugs, and now is sleeping with a bunch of women. Alright, so for this is going to be an F tier for me, like, honestly. If you're reading to this, you're kind of you must have got a lobotomy or something, you must be broken. Anyways, gospel music, again, I just find this distracting, okay? Whether or not you are a proponent of the faith, if you're a follower of Jesus or not, gospel music, I think it can be distracting, but not so more distracting than rock or pop, so I guess to read to, it's going to go in the B category. Folk music, I think, typically, the lyrics are a bit less articulate, although, again, so much depends upon the artist, upon the album you're listening to, but I am biased towards folk music, I really like it, so I think folk music is better than rock or pop to read to, so it's going to go in the A category with world music. Now, emo. Okay, I'm not really sure what is meant by emo. Maybe just slower music that's like sad with depressing lyrics, because of course emo can take all sorts of forms. Maybe there is a distinct genre called emo that I'm unaware of, but of course I don't really know. Now, emo music, I can't say that I really enjoy it. I don't go out of my way and listen to it frequently, although I don't think it would be super distracting to listen to, at least no more than rock or pop, so I guess it would go in B category as well. And I guess we're looking pretty good here in terms of our bell curve, right? Because you don't really want all your music genres in the S tier. You kind of want it to be spread out. So the fact that most of these are going in B tier, mathematically it makes sense, okay? Now, prog. Prog, I actually really like. This is short for progressive rock, sort of experimental. Really popular in like the 70s. Now, there is some terrible prog rock out there, but there's also some really good stuff, okay? And so, for that reason, I think I'm going to put prog in A tier. Of course, it can be distracting depending upon the lyrics or the artist, but on the whole, I think it is not so distracting. It's pretty good. Now, let's go in here and find some good ones. Okay, so, instrumental. Now, instrumental, this isn't really a genre, okay? Instrumental just means there's only instruments, like no words. Now, on the whole, instrumental music is going to be an S tier listen because it has no words, it's not distracting, it's easy to read to. But of course, instrumental music could also be like death metal with no lyrics, in which case it's way too energetic, right? It's hard to read to unless you're reading like the Necromonicon, whatever that cursed book is from Lovecraft, right? Then you might want to listen to black metal or death metal when you're reading. Otherwise, you don't really want it to be like more chill. And so I think instrumental music, it's kind of not a genre, but if we take it to be like more chill, I think it has to be S tier, right? Like sort of by definition. Now, here's one. Drum and bass. I'm a huge drum and bass fan. Of course, there's bad drum and bass out there. I mean, all electronic music that you can make on the computer, there's way too much of it online, because you get these like cracked out weed heads that just think they can produce beats in their mom's basement, and they're just terrible. But there's also a lot of good drum and bass out there. So I'm a huge drum and bass fan. Now, in terms of how good it is to read to, like I was sort of saying before, energetic is sort of not as good to read to. Usually slower or more chill is better for reading. But I do really like drum and bass, so I think I'm going to have to push it up to A tier, because you can get a lot of drum and bass with no lyrics. That's good to read to. Okay. Now I'm realizing this is like a lot of genres. This is probably too many to go through. So let's just go ahead and pick out some good ones. Okay, what are some things that I have strong opinions on? Okay, anime music. Now, I know it can be sort of either taboo or vogue, depending on what friend group you are a part of, to either hate on anime or to love it. Now, since day one, I've been a hater of anime. Okay, I think it rots your brain. As a Westerner, why are you watching or listening to anime music? Okay, it doesn't make any sense. Go touch grass. Go outside. Get some real friends. F tier. Now, goth. Okay? Now, somebody inevitably is going to school me in the comments about the difference between emo and goth. I don't know what the difference is. I'm sorry. Okay? Sue me. So it's going to go with emo, because I don't know the difference. Yes. Now, I wanted to save this till last, but we'll do it now, okay? Ambient music. Now, ambient is like instrumental, but it has connotations of being slow, atmospheric, right? Usually it has no percussion, because if it has percussion, it's more lo-fi, right? Usually ambient has no percussion. And ambient is by far my favorite genre to read to. Not my favorite genre overall, but to read to, it's excellent. And I'm going to finish the video with some recommendations for some ambient. Alright, but overall, ambient. Chef's kiss. S tier. Okay. Now in terms of J-pop and K-pop here, that's just another words for anime in my mind, okay? What are you doing reading to this music? F tier. Now, indie. Indie is very popular, okay? I have lots of friends that listen to indie. I know that most people who sort of are into reading listen to indie music, okay? We get it. You're cool. You know some band that nobody else listens to, okay? They have like 40 listeners on Spotify. Good for you. But I'm not a huge fan, okay? It's sort of forgettable, most indie music. I mean, indie is one of those things that's a big genre, okay? It has good stuff in it, for sure. But overall, I just don't really like it. But it is good to read to, I will admit, because it's sort of, like I said, in my mind it's kind of forgettable. So it's easy to read to because you're not focusing on the lyrics so much. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in the A tier. Now, a lot of these that I don't really know, that are too many, we're just going to start popping them into C tier, because I don't, like blues, I guess, no, blues can go to B tier, okay? I don't mind blues. And usually it doesn't have so many lyrics, so, I mean, depending again, of course, but B tier. It's not, blues is not C tier, I'll give it that. But like grunge, I don't know, C. Pop rock, C. Opera, I hate opera, F tier. Blech. R&B soul, C tier. Country, ooh, I don't like country. Unless it's Marty Robbins, F tier. Alternative, I don't know, C tier. Funk, C tier. Noise rock, ooh, that's probably like too much, right? Noise rock to read to, yeah, it's probably F tier. But it's not, oh, whoa, pause. I don't mind noise rock as much as country and hip hop and anime music, so it's gonna go in C tier. Metal, again, B or C tier. I don't know. I don't listen to any metal. Trance. Oh, I like trance. But to read to, I don't know. B tier. Same with actually vaporwave to read to, not bad. I mean, overall, very atmospheric, right? Very laid back, typically. Very repetitive. So it doesn't distract you too much from the book. A tier for vaporwave for sure. Disney. Ugh. Who? The only time you should be listening to Disney music is if you're watching a Disney movie with your kids. I don't understand this. Although, okay, does a soundtrack doesn't count as Disney, right? Because like the Shrek soundtrack is fire, and you could listen to that all day. But does that mean it's Disney music, or does that Pixar produce Shrek? I don't even know. Is Pixar Disney? These are hard questions. I don't have the answer. Okay. In any case, so we're gonna take Shrek soundtrack to not count as Disney. Okay. So we can put Disney in F tier. Dubstep. I love electronic music, but dubstep is so cringe. Okay. We should just leave it in 2012 where it belongs. Okay. You had a great run, but you gotta give it up at some point, right? Okay. Now jazz. Okay. Jazz is good. Okay. Sometimes it's a little bit complex and maybe it'll distract you a little bit, but on the whole, I think actually jazz is great to read to because it has no lyrics. It's very soothing. It's relaxing. It's not too in your face. Although, of course, again, these are broad genres. There are artists within the genre that may break the mold, but overall, jazz, good to read to. EDM, again, I like it, but to read to, meh. Same with techno. Actually, techno usually doesn't have lyrics. It's usually pretty repetitive. But what kind of book would you read? Listen to techno? I don't know, like some sort of sci-fi novel, like Neuromancer or some sort of Philip Dick. Maybe you could read techno while you listen to that, or read that. Sorry, but overall, yeah, I don't know. To read to, probably not the best. Disco, yeah, C tier. I have no idea. Soundtrack totally depends on the soundtrack, of course. House, again, similar to techno. I really like house, but to read to, hard to say. Hard rock, C, not F. Sorry, C tier. Latin, C tier. Reggae, C tier. Garage, I like garage, again, but it's going to go with the rest of the electronic music genres. In B tier. Punk, C tier. Comedy, what's comedy? What even is that? Comedy music? Like Weird Al Yankovic? Yes. Alright. Surf, okay, this is chill. I'll give that an A. I'm assuming that means surf rock, right? Sort of like a washed out sound, almost shoegazy. And then lo-fi. Lo-fi is just ambient with percussion, okay? It's great to read to. So it's going to get an S tier, of course. And I'm quite happy overall with this list. Although I'm not sure I'm happy with instrumental. I don't really know what this means. Instrumental what? It's not really a genre. But like I said before, we'll just take it to mean like ambient, I guess. I don't know. This is the final ranking? I probably angered somebody. Anyways, stick around because I'm going to give some music recommendations for ambient because this is my all-time favorite pick. Actually, what we should do, we should add a row above, okay? This new row. We're going to call it epic. Yeah, epic. And we'll make it red. So it belongs at the top, just like that. And we'll put ambient at the top because really, that's what it deserves. So, here we go. Alright, on now to the music recommendations. So, in terms of ambient music, the best album that I've found so far is Hammock's Silencia. Now, this is sort of an epic listen, and the first time you listen to it, you might not even want to read while you listen to it, okay? Just put on a good pair of headphones, sit down for the hour or however long it is, and just stare at the wall, okay? And listen to this album, because it might change your life. I don't know. It's really good. And then after that initial listen, you can kind of settle in, get a book, and read. But the first listen, you might want to, take it one song at a time. Alright, then in second place here we have Sangam's Messiah. Now, Sangam, I don't really know too much about this guy. He's kind of like a lesser-known like SoundCloud producer, I think. Like, he doesn't really have the right aesthetic to be making ambient music, in my mind. But hey, it works well for him. Really good album. Now this one is the one I've listened to the most. I've listened to this album so many times. I have a little Sony $40 MP3 player that I drag my MP3s onto, and it's just stayed on there since I've had the MP3 player. I've listened to that album so many times. It's my go-to for reading. Now, it's not as epic as Hammock's Silencia. It's not as life-changing, but it is very comfortable, right? You can sit down with that album, and you know exactly what you're going to get. So I really like that one. Next up, we have Steve Roach's Structures from Silence. Now, this is sort of a landmark album in terms of ambient music. Now, I also don't know... they came up with a 30th anniversary edition, remaster. I don't even know how long ago, but this is an old album, right? Like 80s or 90s or something like that. So, yeah, a very important landmark album in terms of ambient music. And then in fourth place here, we have Dedekind Cut. Dedekind Kind? One second here, I should know this if I'm recommending it. I don't even know where to find it. I think it's Dedekind Cut. Yeah, Dedekind Cut. Their album Tahoe. Okay, Tahoe. It's very good. Some of the songs maybe a bit much for reading. They kind of they dip low and then they reach these very high heights. But either way, very good ambient album. And then in fifth place here we have, I don't even know how to say the guy's name, Rafael Anton Irisarri. Okay, he must be, I don't know, like Latin or something like that. Or no, Rafael. That's more of like a Spanish or like a Italian name. Or I don't even know. All right. His album, The Shameless Years, is very good. Now I listened to some of his other stuff and it's not as readable. It's more like experimental. So I can't recommend it necessarily. But The Shameless Years, quite good. As far as ambient goes, anyways. And then I just wanted to give an honorable mention. I know it's not ambient, it's more lo-fi, or as they call it, dub techno. But this album by Deepchord called Auratones. And I have this one on CD. It's very good. I can recommend it very highly for reading. Again, not ambient, but honorable mention goes to Deepchord's Auratones. And that's all. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you found some music here that you can read to, and it helps you focus. And if you like it, shoot me a comment. Which one's your favorite? If you didn't like it, shoot me a hate comment. I like those too. Death threats are always good. Anyways, talk to you next time.